Michelle was only 32 and she found another death. I've suffered with anxiety now since, 2002. So I had a very sudden family bereavement which triggered a stress reaction. And at that point I thought I was completely coping with everything. I was totally on top of thing, and I was always quite gregarious as a child. Looking back at it now, perhaps I probably had anxiety tendencies as a child, but when you think when I was in the education system, it was in the 70s to 80s. For me, I use the adrenaline rush that I get when I'm in an anxious situation to be very energetic. Anxiety wouldn't have been recognised when I was 18, 19 years old. For me, I made myself so ill, I collapsed and I woke up in hospital with a brain injury because I was living in such a state of anxiety and dealing with it so badly and working so hard. I worked myself to the point where my body was like, can't cope with this anymore, and it stopped. And that was a huge wake-up call for me, and that's when I realised the damage that I was doing. I still have my moments. I wasn't very kind to myself, and when I became anxious, I saw myself as a defeatist, as somebody who was giving up. I felt guilt about letting people down. This kind of like pressure cooker of stress and anxiety was just building up inside of me. The lack of me understanding myself was just becoming self-destructive. The stress of that first couple of weeks trying to learn your way around the campus, because I'd not been to an open day, book codes. It was like learning a foreign language very quickly. Somebody said to me, hold a pencil because it stops you fiddling, hold a pencil. I was so nervous, I snapped the pencil in half and I almost drew drop of blood in my palms with my nails because I was clenching so tightly because I was so terrified. And what people said to me is, everybody gets nervous at presentations. Well, I doubt everybody is at the verge of drawing blood in their own palms because they can't think through it. So if somebody cuts me up on the way into uni in the morning in the car, for instance, the automatic reaction is, for goodness sake, what are you doing? But actually you don't know, that person could have had some bad news, they could have been in a rush to somewhere, and it's just trying to understand that actually people are generally good despite the challenges they have, and I'm very open about it. As a mature student, the misconception is that because I'm a grown-up, and I use that with inverted commas because I don't feel particularly grown-up, it's one of the reasons I'm at university, obviously, that as a grown-up that you are less anxious and you don't have the same challenges. Because a mature student has a mortgage, quite often have children, are still working, still have a partner, may have elderly parents that they're looking after. They're a carer and a parent and a student as well. So actually their stressors for anxiety can be more. I was off for a month. I was really poorly over Christmas, and actually coming back in January after having had so much time out made me feel quite anxious because I felt as though I hadn't done enough work over Christmas, I was going to be behind. And these kind of dramatisations that go through your head when you're in this situation are irrational, but it doesn't stop them happening. I've been ready to go for nights out, completely made up, dressed up to the nines and sat there, and I have been fixated and not able to leave the house. I'm going through another quite anxiety-driven time at the moment with the death of my very beloved great aunt a week or so ago. And at the weekend, I should have been at uni. Should is a very dangerous word. I should have been reading. I should have been researching. In all likelihood, if I was, a young person now, I would probably have been diagnosed as a young person. I wasn't diagnosed until an adult, probably because of that, that awful time that I went through. So I had a formal diagnosis. Did it ever occur to me what I actually had was anxiety? Didn't occur to me in the slightest. I thought that everybody had these rushes of euphoria, which is actually the adrenaline kicking in when you're in a terrified state. That whole kind of fight or flight that just gets you. I can remember the first time because I worked in industry for 30 plus years before I came to uni, and a lot of my work, certainly in the last 10 to 15 years, was presentations and going out to client sites. I was a consultant and I was talking to people and teaching them things and teaching them about things. And I can remember the first time I stood up to do a presentation. But actually, when you're in that moment of crisis and you're having a mental health crisis, you're in that anxiety attack and you can't get out of your home, how likely are you to come to walk into university and make an appointment, sit down with a help zone counsellor and wait? Anxiety is, you can feel so isolated. Yeah, I still get anxious, my heart rate still goes up, I still flush bright red, which I hate because then everybody knows you're nervous. You know, all of those kind of physiological things that you can't control. Most of the time, just being listened to and heard is enough. So when people try and problem solve for me, I actually find that quite frustrating, and sometimes that can trigger me over into anger. You know, the sweat's coming, sometimes you just want somebody to sit there so you can go, and this is just shocking them, go, I don't know how you're coping with it, but you're doing an amazing job. Compassion can be enough. I think it shows a greater sense of empathy and compassion if somebody can just sit and listen and not have to try and fix it for you. Just diffusing the situation with that kindness, compassion, just the time it takes to drink a cup of tea. And sometimes you don't even need to talk about what's going on in your head. Sometimes talking about what isn't going on in your head is what makes it go away. That immediate, I can't cope, completely disappear. I'm so angry. I'm not angry with the person because all this other stuff's in my head, and sometimes I just feel really overwhelmed by it all. People are generally good. They might just be struggling. Little waves make big ripples, don't they?